Welcome to Lord Gizmo. Join us as we count down our top 6 most viewed harvesting videos. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the incredible scenes of harvest at its finest.
Grapes are one of the most in-demand fruits in the world. They are made into juice drinks, food additives, and one of their famous end products are wines. In today's Lord Gizmo video, we will be looking at how these grapes are harvested and processed to become wine. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more. The whole process starts with harvesting the grapes. This process can be done with the help of both manual and mechanical means. When grapes ripen, they're picked by hand or machine, usually between August and October. Each type of grape requires its own optimal picking time. Some grapes can be left to hang longer than others for better flavor development. This process impacts the eventual taste and quality of wines. First, this vehicle goes through the multiple rows of grapes. Then, the farmers place these baskets that will act as the collection bins of all harvested grapes. Then, they will be transported to the processing facility. These crates of grapes will be received by the workers and will be prepared for checking and weighing. This is done to make sure that all of the grapes are of high quality and sufficient weight. After that, these workers will begin to open up this gigantic machine and slowly load the grapes inside. They will fill it up with the grapes they have collected. If you're wondering where these grapes will go, this machine actually leads them to this station where they will be collected and prepared for further processing. These vehicles are programmed to wait at this spot and catch the grapes from the machine. Depending on which company, these grapes can be smashed in different ways. Although most of them use machines, they still have different methods of doing so. However, the process always starts with cleaning the grapes. Then, they need to de-stem or remove its stem and other unwanted particles to make sure that the juice collected will have a clean and consistent texture. Then, they will be placed onto this machine that serves as the company's crusher. Once it is filled to the brim, its top part will be locked and closed. Then, the workers will slowly lower the crusher to extract the juice from the grapes. This machine is connected to the hose which leads all the grape juice into a specific collection bin. Once done, they will open it up again and shovel through the batches of grapes. This is done to make sure that even the grapes on the bottom of the surface are crushed properly. Then, the process of crushing begins again. It is important to take note that different presses or crushing exists too, and it is all depending on what the juice will be used for. Did you know? For white wines, gentler pressing is often preferred to avoid extracting too many tannins and phenolics from the skins and seeds, typically using pressures around 0.2 to 0.6 bars, 3 to 9 psi. For red wines, where more extraction is desired, higher pressures up to 2 bars may be applied. Traditional basket presses and modern pneumatic presses are commonly used, with pneumatic presses allowing for more precise control over the pressure applied, ensuring the optimal balance of juice extraction and quality. This careful application of pressure is crucial for producing high-quality wine, as it affects the flavor, clarity, and overall character of the finished product. Here is another interesting fact. To produce one bottle of wine, which is typically 750 milliliters, about 25 ounces, you generally need about 600 to 800 grapes. This translates to roughly 2.5 pounds, 1.1 kilograms of grapes per bottle. The exact number can vary based on factors like grape variety, vineyard yield, and winemaking techniques. For instance, larger grape varieties, or those with higher juice content, may require fewer grapes, while smaller, more intensely flavored grapes may require more to achieve the desired volume and flavor profile. To gather the many stages of grape processing and extract the appropriate liquid components, grape processing factories use a variety of techniques. The principal aim is to achieve superior wine quality while reducing expenses and guaranteeing effective production. Crushing and de-stemming grapes is the first step in the processing process. At this critical point, the fruit's skins, stems, and seeds are removed, releasing juice that will later turn into wine. The grapes are broken down into little pieces by crushers, which makes it easier for de-stemmers to remove undesired components and leave only pure pulp behind. The next step is pressing, in which the pulps are compressed to release more liquid using hydraulic presses. Press and free-run liquids are the two forms of liquids that are obtained. Free-run liquid pairs well with white wines since it is transparent and has less tannin components. In contrast, press liquid has a higher tannin content and is opaque, making it perfect for red wines. Pneumatic bladder presses, or gravity settling tanks, are used by grape processing factories to remove particles from liquids, guaranteeing the purity of the extracted liquids. With the use of these technologies, producers can get purity and clarity in their finished goods without sacrificing flavor qualities. Cold stabilization follows pressing to remove excessive tartrates, a natural component of grapes that can negatively affect the appearance and flavor of the resulting wine. Fermentation then begins, converting sugars present in the grape must, which are its juice, skin, and seed mixture, into ethanol through yeast activity. Aging completes this process by refining the taste profile of the wine, ultimately yielding an exceptional beverage ready for consumption. Depending on grape variety and producer preferences, grapes must undergo cold soak at around 50 Fahrenheit or 10 Celsius for several days pre-fermentation. Following the fermentation process, the wine is bottled in pristine glass containers. Natural corks are used to seal the neck of each bottle, preventing oxidation and contamination of the wine. The bottles are labeled with important details such as the producer name, grape variety, vintage year, alcohol concentration, and any appropriate cautions before they are filled with wine. With sterile filler that assures less exposure to air, wine is meticulously poured into bottles. To preserve the wine's quality during the filing process, this procedure also entails keeping an eye on the wine's pressure and temperature. And there you have it. Your favorite wine is made. This now ends our video on grape harvesting and wine production. But let's not stop at grapes. Let's dive deep into the harvesting process of olives to produce amazingly tasty olive oil.
Olive farms and their workers are doing their best to produce high-quality olives that will supply the needs of the market, hence the reason why they are extremely expensive. In today's Lord Gizmo video, we will be taking a glimpse of how olives are produced. This will also help us gain a perspective on what accounts for the high price of olives. So just sit back and get ready to learn as we start another farm process video. In any agricultural or farming process, it always starts with preparing the land. The farmers till the soil to make sure that the olives will be planted in an environment that can support its growth. Through the help of a machine or planter, olive tree seedlings are planted in rows. They make sure that a certain interval between the seedlings is followed to ensure that they will grow without affecting each other. Then, a farmer will anchor these seedlings to a stick that will serve as its support while it grows. Once the soil is ready, the olive tree seedlings are planted at regular intervals. This is usually done using a specialized planter that can handle multiple seedlings at once. The seedlings will need around 3 to 5 years before they can produce their own fruit. Usually their flowers appear in early spring. During their first production of fruits, it will not be as productive as its growth in its 8th or 10th year. In this growth period, they will benefit the most from early pruning and training to form a single trunk and a framework of 3 to 4 main branches. When it comes to harvesting olives, different farms do it in different ways. There are some who do it manually. Small-scale producers, or those who prioritize quality control, harvest olives by hand and only pick out the ripe ones. In today's video, we will be looking more on large commercial operations that use machine harvesting methods. Most of the time, they use harvesting combs that go through the rows of olive trees. These machines have large hair comb-like parts that take the olives off of the tree branches. The collected olives are then moved to a container through the help of a conveyor belt. Other farms also employ the process of shaking. From the name itself, it's either a machine or their own workers shake the olive trees so the ripe olives easily fall off. Did you know olive trees, some of which are thousands of years old, can still produce olives and high-quality olive oil today? Olive trees are known for their remarkable longevity, and some ancient olive groves in the Mediterranean region have been passed down through generations for centuries. These ancient trees not only produce delicious olives, but also contribute to the cultural and historical heritage of the regions where they thrive. After the harvesting process, the olives are then transferred to respective vehicles or containers. This is in preparation for selling them. Usually, olives are sold to mills in bulk. Mills either get it directly from farmers or negotiate through intermediaries such as olive oil producers. Depending on the variety of olive, the quality of the crop, and the location where they are grown, the price of the olives can also vary. To check these factors, olives are processed in these conveyor belts. Did you know olive oil production alone can range from 3 to 4 million tons per year? Olive sales include not only table olives, but also olive oil and various olive-based products such as olive pit fire starters. Dry olive pits are flammable and can be used as a natural fire starter for fireplaces, wood-burning stoves, or campfires. They catch fire easily and can help get a fire going quickly. Once they are sold, they will be transported via these big conveyor belts. At the same time, their physical appearance will be checked. In some facilities, this is also where each of the olives will be sorted according to their ripeness, size, color, and quality. If they saw that there are unripe olives during this process, they will be separating them and storing them for later use, while the ripe ones will be ready for processing. The olives must first be thoroughly cleaned using water to get rid of any dirt or other particles from their surface. This keeps the product's flavor constant and inhibits the formation of mold. There are also other facilities that put olives through centrifuges, which spin them quickly to remove any last bits of dirt, such as pits or stems, that might still be on the fruit's surface. After being pre-processed, the olives are sent into crushers, which use pressure rollers with stainless steel surfaces to break up bigger pieces into smaller chunks, so that no flavor residue from earlier manufacturing runs affects the output in the future. Additionally, by releasing more oil from each olive, this technique improves the olive's overall consistency once they are ground into a paste. The olives are crushed and then run through high-speed hammer mills to compress them even further into a fine paste, but retains some coarse particles for body when added to recipes like salad dressings or hummus. The adjustable screens in these hammer mills enable modifications based on the needed particle size standards of global customers that import these items via bulk shipment containers. When it comes to pressing olives, most facilities follow a standardized method designed to extract maximum oil yield without compromising the final product's sensory qualities like taste, smell, and appearance. Once reduced enough, these particles move directly onto either traditional two-phase hydraulic press systems. After that, the refined olive paste will be added to this white filter and arranged in a circle. These will be made in batches by the workers, who will then stack them on top of one another. After that, a press machine will be used to gather all of the oils from them. The crushed olives are placed inside the press and compacted in a chamber. This pressure causes pomace, a solids-rich material, to be left behind after the oil is removed from the olives. After that, the mixture they have gathered will be transferred to this apparatus called a centrifuge. This will be spun at such high speeds so that the heavier olive oil will be moved towards the walls of the container. This will now help with the separation of oil and water. Oil is the most important product in this process. Once they have acquired the oils, it is now time to transfer them to the packaging area. It will be bottled to prepare them for a wider market distribution.
There are many uses of plywood. It can be used for arts and crafts, and it can also be used in housing and construction. Regardless of how they are used, all of the plywoods go through a series of meticulous steps before they can be used. In today's Lord Gizmo video, we will take a look at how this facility manufactures their plywood. Right after the facility receives the logs they can use for this process, they start to load them onto this machine. This is a rotary peeler tasked to peel the logs one by one. A plywood has a flat and smooth surface, but logs have textured surfaces. To solve this, the logs need to go through this first peeling where the outer surface will be peeled off. This leaves a smoother log. This initial peeling step helps to remove any imperfections or blemishes on the surface of the logs, making it easier to work with them further. However, the process does not end there. These logs will still be processed further. They will be moved over this conveyor belt and will be led to a mechanical cutter. This will cut off the ends of the log to make sure that all of them are of the same size. Once that is done, they will proceed to more peeling. Plywood owes its existence to a variety of tree species known for their strength, durability, and straight grain. Common trees used in plywood production include pine, spruce, fir, cedar, and hardwoods like birch and oak. These trees are typically grown in managed forests. Now, as for the age of these trees, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Trees harvested for plywood production can vary widely in age depending on factors such as species, growth rate, and forestry practices. In general, softwood trees like pine and spruce may be ready for harvest in as little as 20 to 50 years, while hardwood trees like oak and birch may take significantly longer, sometimes up to a century or more, to reach maturity. However, sustainable forestry practices aim to strike a balance between meeting the demand for timber and preserving the health and longevity of forest ecosystems. The most popular method involves spinning the wood with a huge lathe, while a moving blade parallel to the log slices them into thin sheets. This will produce a veneer sheet that resembles a roll being unwound. The angle of the blade and its distance from the log can be used to change the veneer's thickness. Although it generates thinner veneers with less waste, the process is slower and less prevalent when producing plywood. Large, continuous sheets are produced with this effective process. Despite its widespread use and versatility, plywood does have some drawbacks to consider. One notable limitation is its susceptibility to moisture and humidity. Plywood is composed of thin layers of wood veneer glued together, and if not properly sealed or protected, it can swell, warp, or delaminate when exposed to moisture. This can compromise its structural integrity and aesthetic appearance, making it less suitable for outdoor or high moisture environments without proper treatment. Additionally, plywood may contain formaldehyde-based adhesives, which can emit volatile organic compounds into the air, posing potential health risks, especially in confined spaces or poorly ventilated areas. After that, they will be sent over to this part of the facility where one worker will watch over the whole process. The purpose of this step is to flatten out the sheets, combine them, and cut them into the desired size. Using this machine with two huge rollers, the sheets of wood will be fed between them to get flattened out. This machine is also designed to ensure that when one sheet is put after the other, they will be connected with each other. This is quite a meticulous process, so the worker needs to watch it intently. Once all of the sheets of wood are processed in this step, they will be cut down. This is essential so that the sheets will have equal and consistent size and dimensions. This will also make the next parts of the whole manufacturing process easier. Choosing between plywood and solid timber for furniture depends on factors like durability, aesthetics, and budget. Plywood offers strength, stability, and cost-effectiveness, while solid timber showcases natural beauty, longevity, and customization options. Both have environmental considerations, with plywood supporting sustainable forestry and solid timber benefiting from responsible sourcing. The best choice depends on project requirements and personal preferences, often leading to a blend of both materials for optimal results. Then, these flattened out and cut down sheets of wood will be sent over to this place. At this point, manual labor is not yet needed. This is all thanks to high-tech machines that are capable of doing the collection process all by themselves. They pile the sheets of wood on top of each other in preparation for their transportation to the next step. The collected sheets of wood will be transferred over to this area. This is where workers will manually work with the products. They will need to load the sheets into these rollers to do the process of pressing. In pressing, they use high pressure to achieve the desired appearance or quality of the plywood. The majority of plywood adhesives are thermosetting resins, which only solidify and cure when heated. The type of adhesive and the intended panel qualities determine the precise temperature and duration. Strong adhesive bonds are also created as a result of the glue's close contact with every veneer surface caused by the extreme pressure. This step's primary goal is to apply pressure to the layers in order to compress them and give the plywood panel the final thickness that is required. Furthermore, the pressure guarantees uniform grain definition across the panel. Freshly peeled veneers have high moisture content and need to be dried to reduce it below certain levels. This can be done using either natural air drying or kiln drying methods, depending on the desired speed and conditions. In this facility, they do it over this oven-like machine. First, they load the stacks of plywood over this giant press and apply pressure once again. Then, the workers will transfer them over another machine that presses and dries them at the same time. Once this step is done, they unload the sheets and prepare for the next step. The number of veneer sheets pressed together to make a sheet of plywood can vary depending on the desired thickness and the specific grade of plywood being produced. However, in general, plywood typically consists of an odd number of thin wood veneer layers, usually ranging from 3 to 9 or more. These veneer layers are stacked with their grain directions alternating at right angles to one another, which enhances the strength and stability of the plywood panel. This technique creates cross-grained panels that increase strength and stability by arranging numerous veneer sheets in alternating grain directions. Before the sheets are pushed together with heat and pressure, an adhesive coating is put between each one. The grain of each veneer layer is perpendicular to the layer before it. By minimizing warping and shrinkage, this cross-lamination greatly improves the panel's overall strength and dimensional stability. Depending on the application and required thickness, different numbers of layers are used. Plywood that is thicker generally has more layers. Then, based on the plywood's intended purpose, various glues are applied. Usually, glue is applied with rollers, brushes, or sprayers to every surface of each veneer layer. Careful attention is paid to avoid gaps or excessive glue, as both can impact bonding strength. After the panel stack is constructed, it is put into a hot press with controlled temperature and pressure to cure the glue and create a strong bond between the veneer layers. After that, the glue-layered stack is moved to the pressing stage, when pressure and heat are applied as previously mentioned. By doing this, the glue is activated, cured, and the veneers are firmly bonded. The plywood panel's full thickness and density are achieved, air pockets are removed, and uniform glue distribution is ensured during the pressing process. Veneers frequently have dust, debris, and surface impurities like sap or bark residue after drying. These could make the gluing procedure more difficult and lower the plywood's overall quality. To remove loose dirt and debris, brushes, either human or automated, are usually used during cleaning. However, this is often carried out by employees personally examining every piece of plywood. For uniform measurements and smooth surfaces, every veneer is washed, sanded, and cut. If there are still any flaws, they are fixed using patches or fillings. After that, they move on to sizing. Sizing strengthens the primary glue's binding and lowers the possibility of delamination by producing a more consistent and receptive surface for it. Once everything is done, they store these plywood on flat surfaces and wait for its wider market distribution. Plywood strength, affordability, and adaptability make it a true champion in the world of materials. It empowers builders, inspires creators, and shapes our world in countless ways. So, the next time you see plywood, remember the intricate journey it took to get there. It's a testament to human ingenuity and a reminder of the potential hidden within even the simplest things. One of the most durable materials in the world is rubber. It can surely withstand the test of time and is very versatile too. But have you ever wondered where they came from? Well, you might be surprised to know that some of them come from trees. These are called natural rubbers and are known for their milky white appearance. This specific rubber comes from certain tree species and is extracted in a very unique way. In today's Lord Gizmo video, we will take a look at that process and get to know this natural rubber more. A single rubber tree does not produce enough rubber for the whole market. This is why they need to first clear out this woodland to plant enough rubber trees. Their workers will walk through this field and cut down some of the trees manually. Then, they use these ropes to mark the spacing for the rubber trees they are about to plant. If you are concerned with the environmental implications of this step, do not worry, because they only clear the part of the land that they will use. Next, they prepare the cuttings for planting. The workers make a clean and angled cut to give more room for rooting before they put it in a seedling bag. It needs to be a healthy stem or a clean, disease-free branch with several leaves. It needs to be at least 6 to 10 inches. They prepare several batches of this before going back to the open field. To plant these cuttings, they need to dig into the soil, and the dug-up area should be square. This ensures that the plant has enough room to grow into its full size. After that, they gently place the bare stem into the hole and slowly strip away the black bag it was temporarily placed in. After some time, the cutting grows into this tree, but it is bent in an awkward way. To make it grow taller and maintain a desirable shape, the workers will start pruning it. They will cut some parts of the leaves just about their nodes. Then, tie the upper leaves together. This will direct energy towards the main stem, which encourages vertical growth. To extract rubber from these trees, they wound it in a controlled manner. This is called tapping. First, they draw the desired tapping panels on the trees. It is recommended that the tapping is only done to maximum depth of 6 to 7 millimeters to make sure that there will be no damage to the tree. Then, they insert a metal or ceramic spout at the base of the cut to collect the latex flow. This spout channels the latex into a cup or container hanging below. Then, they allow the rubber to flow for a few hours before they collect it. Right after they have collected the latex, a worker is assigned to check its quality and strain it. This is done to remove the impurities. Then, they pour it onto this flat pan to allow it to dry for a bit while it is being transferred to the processing facility. The collected rubber will harden, so they need to let it pass through this tool that flattens it out. It is a press machine specifically made for rubber. Once it's flat, they will proceed to hang it outside and wait for it to dry. Now for the remaining parts, workers will go through them manually and pick out any unwanted or foreign materials in the rubber. Then, they place them onto this area where they will be smoked. This process will help in the natural preservation of the rubber and also assist in its coagulation. For other processes, these collected rubbers are cut into desired sizes and placed on a dump truck. This will start the transportation of the rubber to processing facilities. Once they reach the facility, they will be unloaded onto this machine where they will be pressed and flattened. Underneath these two rollers is a cutter that cuts the sheets of rubber into the required size. They will be used as a lining for these steel pipes. The previously wide and flat rubber sheet will transform into this. The pipe is mounted on a rotating mandrel, and the rubber sheet is fed automatically while pressure rollers ensure proper adhesion and smooth finishing. After that, the lined pipe is placed in a pressurized chamber or autoclave under controlled heat and pressure. This process cures the rubber, permanently bonding it to the steel and activating its desired properties. Once those steps are done, the pipes will be spray painted manually by the workers. Then, they will be sent to this area where a laser machine labels them individually. Now, let us take a look at making rubber belts. This chunk of rubber is cut into two to make the whole process easier. The rubber compound is fed through heated rollers to form thin sheets of uniform thickness. It will come out as a flattened sheet of rubber. Coloring is already added to the rubber. That is why it appears black. After that, it will be placed onto this conveyor belt that leads it into this smaller roller. The purpose of this machine is to place markings on the whole rubber sheet. Then it goes through the process of emulsion. They will be sent to another conveyor belt, which leads them to this cutting area. This rubber sheet will be flattened out until it reaches this thin and smooth state. To coagulate the rubber particles into solid sheets, the latex is treated with acids or other chemicals. To improve adherence, these sheets are dried, cleaned, and creped. Various additives such as fillers, vulcanizing agents, reinforcement textiles, and antioxidants are mixed with rubber to achieve the required attributes of the belt, which include strength, flexibility, and resilience to wear and tear. The rubber sheets are then separated from one another by several fabric plies for strength and dimensional stability. A heated mold or press is used to apply intense pressure on the assembled belt framework. Then they will be crumpled to get the desired qualities. Once that is done, they will be placed on this surface where they will be rolled together. The rubber will be spun around to reach the desired appearance and cut to the desired shape afterwards. These will be placed inside these chambers to allow them to process some more. The produced rubber belts will be tested using this machine. It will stretch it out again and again to test their durability. Coming up next, this is the process of making rubber gaskets, tubing, or seals. First of all, they will unload the rubber that they have received and weighed out. After that, it will be transferred to this area where they will be kneaded through a mechanical kneader. They also add in other additives that will make their product better. After that, they will be unloaded onto this crate to prepare for mixing. The rubber compound will be refined using this roller machine. This will also make the mixing process easier. Even when rubber is known for its durability, it is important that the mixing is done in a proper way to prevent damages. Good thing that this machine is programmed to do it in a controlled way. Plus, it also puts the welfare of the worker as a priority with its emergency settings and other controls. Once the sheet is flattened out, they will be rolled together to transfer onto these cutting machines. They are cut to a certain size and shape, depending on the end product. The rubber compound is compressed in a mold under pressure and heat to form the desired shape, whether it's gaskets or seals. This can be compression molding, transfer molding, or injection molding. Once that is done, they will go through a series of inspections and quality control. This will be the final step before a wider market distribution. In fictional stories and TV shows, a bright and sunny field will never be complete without any sunflowers in sight. Just when most of the people thought sunflowers are only for their beauty and aesthetic, it surprises us with its health benefits and uses. They are not only for display or mere garden plants, They are also important ingredients in a lot of products that we use, especially in oils. Zooming into the actual flower, you can immediately notice how it is made up of hundreds of tiny flowers and seeds. These are the stars of today's show. In today's Lord Gizmo video, we will take a look at the behind the scenes of sunflower oil manufacturing. But before that, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more related videos. Fun fact: sunflowers are heliotropic plants. This means that they are biologically meant to turn their heads to face the sun throughout the day. This is also part of the reason why they are called sunflowers, because they absorb as much sunlight as possible by chasing after its rays. Sunflowers are known for a lot of things, but they are popularly known as snack options. However, they are also good oil alternatives. It can be used in cooking, industrial applications, and even in skincare products. It is surprising to know that their oils are filled with health benefits. For instance, sunflower oil, particularly high oleic varieties, is rich in monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats, particularly linoleic acid. These fats can help lower bad LDL cholesterol and raise good HDL cholesterol, potentially reducing the risk of heart disease when consumed in moderation as part of a balanced diet in place of saturated fats. Aside from that, it is also a great source of vitamin E. A lot of skincare and beauty care experts recommend products with this ingredient since it serves as an antioxidant that protects cells from damage. The same component is also beneficial and can greatly contribute to brain and nerve health. Of course, there will be no sunflower oils without the sunflower itself, so the process must start with planting them. Depending on which farm you will be in, they may have different methods in planting sunflowers. The one you will witness in this video is the general method, or what most farms would do. Sunflowers are very specific plants. This means that their planting season also happens at a very specific time. For the best results, farmers usually plant them after the last frost has passed and the soil temperature reaches at least 50 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius. Most of the time, sunflowers are planted using direct seeding or the most common method for farms. In this technique, the farmers need to attach large planters to the tractors they use. The purpose of these planters is to drill seeds directly into the ground. You have to remember that although this is done mechanically, workers are still there to check the whole process to ensure proper spacing and depth is followed. Sunflower seeds need to be planted around 1 to 2 inches deep, and each of them should be spaced according to the needs of their variety. For example, shorter sunflowers need to be spaced around 6 inches apart, while taller ones might need double that space. This needs to be followed to ensure proper growth of each sunflower. Unlike other plants and crops, sunflowers cannot be harvested when they are in full bloom. Even if they already have vibrant and yellow petals, they are still not ready to be harvested. Usually, sunflowers will start to bear flowers after 2 to 3 months of planting. However, the seeds themselves need to have an additional month to mature after the flower blooms. This is why it is important to note that the days to maturity you see on seed packets do not necessarily refer to when they are ready for harvest, but to when they will start flowering. Now, the question is, when is the right time to harvest the sunflower seeds? This usually happens when the sunflower head is past its peak bloom. Farmers will know this because the back of the flower head will start to become brown and dry out. This is also the time when the seeds start appearing plump and start to loosen up from the sunflower head. This is the perfect time to harvest them. Harvesting sunflower seeds requires speed and accuracy because any time wasted can cost the farmers a lot. To solve this, they use mechanical harvesters that make the whole process efficient and fast. Usually, sunflower harvesters have header attachments that help cut the stalks just below the sunflower head. This process is done with the help of a reel equipped with knives or disc cutters. Since most of the harvesters have wide working widths, they can process multiple rows of sunflowers in a single go. To keep track of the sunflower they harvested, the machine is also equipped with a gathering unit with fingers or augers. These parts of the machine carefully collect the severed heads and move them to the threshing part. Speaking of the threshing unit, it is a part of the machine that separates the seed from the head. Different machines use different methods for threshing, but they all have the same goal: to remove the important part of the sunflower, its seeds. Then they forward it to another vehicle or truck as a preparation for their transportation to the processing facility. This is where all the magic happens. Once the harvested sunflower seeds reach the processing facility, they will be placed inside a storage tank until they are ready to be processed. Some of the facilities process hundreds of tons of sunflowers each day, and this whole process includes various steps. Although most of them are done mechanically, workers are still there to monitor that everything goes according to plan. It all starts with cleaning and sorting the sunflower seeds. At this stage, the sunflower seeds are screened through a machine. The purpose of this is to remove any foreign objects like debris or stones. Workers also look out for seeds with defects so that they can ensure that only high-quality seeds are processed. After that, they proceed to de-hulling the outer shell of the seed. There are many ways to do this, but we will show you how they do it through machines, specifically a sunflower seed shelling machine. This machine uses the concept of rubbing and rolling in removing the shells of the sunflower seeds. First, the workers feed the seeds to a series of rollers or rub bars that are all programmed to work under specific pressures. This motion then creates friction that cracks the hulls. The advantage of using this method is found in how it can effectively remove the shell or hull without doing any damage to the kernel inside. After that, the cracked or hulled seeds will be separated from their actual shells through the help of an airflow system. Once they have already gathered the shelled seeds, the workers will start forwarding them to a mechanical press. This step is essential in getting the oil out of them. Depending on the facility, seeds can be preheated first to assist in this step. After that, they are fed into this barrel-shaped chamber with a screw auger at its center. The auger continuously rotates, pushing the seeds towards a narrow opening at the end of the chamber. As the seeds move through the chamber, the increasing pressure and friction cause the oil to be squeezed out. The barrel has small perforations or a caged section that allows the oil to escape while retaining the solid seed meal. The extracted oil exits the press through a collection system. The remaining solid material, called press cake, exits the other end of the press. This facility boasts in the fact that they do not use any chemical additives in their process. To extract the remaining oil, a solvent, typically hexane, is used to dissolve the oil from the remaining seed solids. The oil-solvent mixture is then separated and the solvent is evaporated from the oil, usually through a heating process, leaving behind crude sunflower oil. This method recovers more oil, but requires careful solvent removal to ensure food safety. But even after the extraction, the oil still needs to go through a series of refining. This is to ensure that the oil released in this facility is very pure and of high quality. Then, they check the properties and even the performance of the oil inside their laboratory. Their skilled and experienced workers will be in charge of checking the oil. After all that, the oil will be forwarded to the packaging facility. They will be put inside bottles and sealed to preserve their quality. Each of the bottles are labeled accordingly to give consumers an idea of what is inside the product. Even at this step, accuracy is needed so that no oil will spill. Finally, they will be packaged into boxes as a preparation for a wider distribution. Sunflower oil is not only used for cooking or consumption, they can also be used as an additive to different products. They go through a similar initial process, but let us go over the steps briefly in the next clips. First of all, most of the cosmetics or skincare products do not use sunflower itself, but only its oil. So, certain companies process the seeds and extract its oil through a pressing or solvent extraction process. Even if we're only talking about oils, it is important to note that they have different types too. Depending on the intended use, a company can require a specific type of oil. In this case, most of the cosmetics companies use cold-pressed sunflower oils because of their higher quality and higher nutrient content. Once they have extracted the oil, they still need to subject it to refining. Although this step is optional, it does play an important role in enhancing the quality of the sunflower oil. To do this, the crude sunflower seed oil is fed into certain machines to remove impurities, color, and odor. The more refined the oil, the more it can be used for lotions and creams. On the other hand, less refined oils are used for hair products where a slightly nutty scent is acceptable. Most of the time, the sunflower seed oil is not the main component for the cosmetic product, but rather an ingredient incorporated in the formula. This is done through mixing it with other ingredients like water, waxes, emulsifiers, and other oils, depending on the desired final product. The specific amount of sunflower seed oil used will vary based on the product's intended purpose and desired benefits. Preservation. Preservatives are often added to cosmetic products containing sunflower seed oil to extend shelf life and prevent microbial growth. Packaging and testing. The finished product is packaged and undergoes testing to ensure safety and compliance with quality standards before distribution. But sometimes, the amount of sunflower seeds exceed the volume needed to produce sunflower oil. To utilize everything and not waste a single harvest, different companies and manufacturers have thought of products to incorporate sunflower seeds. One of the most common products is sunflower seeds. At this point of the video, we will take a look at how one of the companies roast and season their sunflower seeds. First up, they gather all the seeds that they need. Then, they feed it into this machine that will help in sorting each one of them. The same machine helps in lifting the seeds and transporting them to the next station or step. Cleaning is also a major part of this phase, where debris, dust, and any unwanted object is removed. In this specific facility, they use a combination of machines to speed up and increase the efficiency of the process. They aim to produce high-quality sunflower seeds, so they need to maintain consistent temperature all throughout the roasting too. Good thing that their roasters are equipped to do so. The seeds are suspended in a hot air current, ensuring even heat distribution and roasting. Although the process of roasting already brings out the flavor in the sunflower seeds, adding seasoning with salt and other flavoring. This is typically done in a tumbling drum, with a controlled amount of seasoning added. Then, the roasted seeds are left to quickly cool so that the cooking process stops and they do not get overcooked or burnt. There are many ways to do this, but most of the time, this is done through the use of a blast of cool air. Finally, the cooled seeds need to be weighed and packaged into bags or containers. They will be prepared for a wider distribution. No one can deny the beauty sunflowers hold, but more than that, we also cannot deny how useful they are, not only in our market, but also in our everyday lives. You might not notice, but some of the things you use on a daily basis may be infused with sunflower oil. Knowing the process of how they are created and manufactured helps us appreciate it even more. If you are a fan of chocolates or just treats in general, you have probably noticed how almonds have become one of the most essential ingredients in the sweets department. Aside from balancing out the sweetness of your favorite chocolate nicely, they are also very nutritious. Thanks to these qualities, they have become a popular food item. But have you ever wondered how they reach the bars of chocolate? Well, these tree nuts that were native to the Middle East and South Asia have been cultivated for over 4,000 years. Now, and in today's Lord Gizmo video, we will take a look at how they are processed and packaged until they reach you. But before that, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and invite friends over to see similar interesting videos. Now that we're through that, let's go back to almonds. Did you know that almonds contain around 6 grams of protein and 49% of the daily recommended intake of vitamin E? This is just a few of the many health benefits it can give. It is delicious and nutritious, which is why it is in demand and grown in many parts of the world. But how do they actually grow and process almonds? It takes years before an almond seedling can actually bear fruit, but it is productive throughout its lifetime. This is why farmers make the most of every harvesting season. Since we are looking at large-scale farms and almond processing, the way they harvest is done mechanically to achieve higher productivity and efficiency. This process is assisted by a special shaking equipment, and here is how it works. First off, there are 2 components to the almond tree shaker, one for shaking the branches of the tree and another for gathering the falling almonds. Usually, the shaker is fastened to a tractor or other large piece of equipment. Upon activation, the shaker produces a gentle yet firm vibration in the tree branches, which causes the almonds to fall from the limb and land on a tarp or mesh screen below. This helps lessen the manual labor by no longer needing workers to pick everything by hand. After that, the collected almonds will be carried to a truck or any vehicle so that it can be transferred to the processing facility. All the harvested almonds need to undergo grading first. This is where they will be separated according to certain factors like size, condition of their shells, and so much more. This can be done manually, but most facilities now do these through computerized scanners that are able to detect broken shells and other flaws. To guarantee a more efficient and successful process, certain facilities will often humidify their almonds beforehand in preparation for cracking. Once that step is complete, any resulting waste material is separated from the edible almonds and sent to a designated cistern for further drying. Once they reach the processing facility, they will undergo the process of drying first. They are laid out to let some of their moisture out. Then they will go through the initial assorting and cleaning process. Usually, this just includes the separation of the almond kernel from its green shells and sending them over to sorting cisterns. But this step is much more detailed in other facilities. First, the harvested almonds will be placed on a conveyor belt that will transfer them to a destiner. This is a machine that blows out gentle air to separate any rocks from the almonds. The almond has to go through this rubber roller and belt, which are programmed to spin off the hulls and release the almonds. This also acts as an almond dehuller. During this process, there will be an operator tasked to examine the dehulled almonds from time to time. Although the machine already has vibrating desks that can sort the almond by size and a system that shakes off the hull material, it is still important to keep everything in check. After that, the almonds will gently fall down to a gravity table to start the finer separation. This is where the spent hulls and other unwanted materials will be separated from the shelled almonds. In some sorting facilities, the monitoring of almonds in this step is done by a camera that scans each one of them. It detects contaminants and imperfections so that it can blow these things off, leaving the clean and dehulled almond kernels only. After they have dried and sorted the almonds, it is only natural that some waste will be left. To prevent contributing to the endless waste of our world, this facility is devoted to repurposing the wasted shells of the almonds. The shells are rich in fiber and protein, making them an excellent nutrient source for livestock. In fact, Many farmers use the shells as a high-quality feed supplement for their cattle, which not only reduces waste, but also improves the overall health and well-being of the animals. Additionally, the shells can be used as a fuel source in the production of coal, further reducing waste and promoting sustainability. By finding innovative ways to reuse and recycle the waste from their almond processing, this facility is setting an example for other industries to follow. Of course, the process just doesn't end there. They cannot just send the almonds in this state, they also have to check it thoroughly. After the drying and cracking, almonds will be sent to a conveyor belt and led to the part of the plantation facility that sorts all of the almonds by hand. They are typically sorted by size or quality too. If a worker sees that one of the almonds does not have high-quality shells, the worker will discard this almond. This is also the part where all of the contaminants are removed manually. As you can see, the almonds are also processed through a vibrating conveyor that allows the smaller almonds to fall through the holes and into the bins while the bigger ones continue. Since they have different prices or values, it is very helpful that smaller almonds are separated from larger ones. After that, the almonds approach a robot that examines the pictures to check for cracks, chips, and scratches. The damaged almonds are then located and removed by the robot. Any flawed almonds that the robot system overlooked are identified by a human inspection because their problems are only surface level. Then, a portion of that batch will be transferred to the facility's laboratory. This is where all the testing for factors not visible to the human eye will happen. The experts in this facility test the almonds' humidity indications, kernels, appearance, smell, and all the other factors that makes an almond great. Once it is already established that the almonds are of good quality and are ready for distribution, the machinery that makes cardboard boxes start forming the boxes where they will be packed. The almonds are weighed and then sealed inside these containers. Then, they will be ready for a wider distribution. From here, almonds can be used in many different ways. It can be in food, drinks, or even in other household items. And there you have it, the nut-tastic journey of an almond.
The country Vietnam is known to be the largest cashew-producing country around the world. Due to its high health benefits and the good things it does to one's heart, the demand for this hearty snack has been increasing ever since. This has helped Asian countries, especially Vietnam, develop more efficient ways to harvest and process cashews. In today's Lord Gizmo video, we'll explore the insider details on cashew processing. But before that, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more related videos. The whole process starts with planting the cashews. Typically, they grow on trees, specifically the Anacardium occidental trees. It's originally native to Brazil, but throughout time, other parts of the world have learned how to cultivate it. The planting process starts with the careful selection of the cashew seeds. Farmers make sure that the seeds they pick have the standard germination rate, disease resistance, and nut size. After that, they prepare the soil by clearing out the weeds and adding in organic matters like compost or manure. They also make sure that the soil is suitable for the growth of the cashew by checking its pH level. Usually, the seeds are planted during the rainy season when the soil is moist. It requires a lot of moisture, so farmers make sure to water them frequently. Normally, it takes around 5 to 7 years for cashew trees to mature and produce nuts. All throughout these years, farmers need to provide constant care and pruning to the trees. Once the trees mature and bear fruit, it will take about 2 to 3 months before they can ripen. It's important that the farmers wait for these cashew nuts to ripen fully because they will fall on their own through this. Once that happens, the farmers will pick them up individually and put them into these sacks. However, not all of these are consumable. The seed of the cashew nut is found inside the pit of the fruit and is encased in a fleshy membrane known as the testa. The only edible part of the testa is the kernel. After they fill these containers, the cashews will be transferred to a truck. This will help them get transported to the processing facility. One of the vital parts of cashew processing is drying cashews. Although there are different ways to dry the cashew, one of the most common ways to do this is through sun drying. First of all, they transfer the cashew from the truck and spread it out on a single layer. They make sure that there is a protective layer of plastic underneath to make sure that no unnecessary dirt will come near the cashews. The workers will leave them in direct sunlight for a couple of hours or until the desired dryness is reached. It's important to note that they don't leave the cashews for too long because it may become rancid or spoil. Once they are all dried out, they will be placed into a packaging. This is in preparation for the delivery to the processing facility. Once the batches of cashews reach the processing facility, they will be sorted according to size and quality. Workers in this stage make sure that only the highest quality cashews are processed so their resources are maximized. To ensure that the process remains hygienic and the cashews are safe for consumption, the process starts with de-stoning and cleaning them. In processing facilities, they do this mechanically with the help of a cashew detonator or a cashew de-stoner. Aside from cleaning the cashews, these machines help remove their shells too. Loading the cashews onto this machine not only washes them, but also helps separate unwanted debris. It has a mechanism that can help separate the cashews from any stone, sand, or etc. Through the help of this machine, workers can guarantee that they only have good quality kernels on the next step. After that, the cashews will move to the next step, which is steaming or roasting. It can be done in two ways: steaming or through roasting them without oil. This not only enhances the flavor of the nuts, but also helps soften up their shell. In most processing facilities, they process these cashew nuts through a machine where hot air circulates around them. Using machines instead of manually roasting them allows a constant temperature to flow. After they are subjected to heat, the cashews will be transferred to this machine that moves them upward. The purpose of this is to initiate the process of cooling. All the cashews that are meant for cooling will be placed here. In most cases, they are air cure or cooled, but some facilities also do it mechanically. This will prevent over-roasting and also help in retaining their moisture content. Once they've been cooled, they'll be transferred to this raw cashew nut sizing system. This machine has a hopper and an elevator feed that helps feed the cashew nuts to the system. They'll fall onto this machine and will be sorted out according to their sizes. Using a machine like this in this part of the process reduces the labor requirement, which also reduces the costs. Then, depending on what size they are, the cashew nuts will be transferred to the appropriate containers. Subsequently, the cashew nuts are shelled after being transferred to storage silos via vertical and horizontal conveyors. Different operating modes have been implemented for both horizontal and vertical layouts of shelling machines, both mechanical and manual. The automated shelling lines can be modified to become a continuous sheller that uses mechanical scoops to automatically gather the kernels after separating the shells from the kernel. After processing, raw cashews usually weigh about 25% of their original weight. Shelled RCNS generate shells and kernels during the shelling process. After shelling, it's critical to remove the oily shells as soon as possible to keep the kernels from getting greasy. A perforated vibrating deck splits the kernels from the shells following the shelling machine output. Since the lighter shells are vacuumed by a pneumatic aspirator, there isn't any contact between them and the kernels. The next process is basically just like the previous one. The shelled cashews will be transferred to a conveyor belt that goes upward. This belt will allow the nuts to fall into this other machine where they are sorted according to size and quality. You can see how each container here contains different appearances of cashew nuts. In this processing facility, they have these trays that would be used for further processing. Depending on what their quality is, each of the cashew nuts will be placed to fill these trays. This process can be done manually, but it's much faster and more economical to do it mechanically. Once the trays are filled, they'll be stacked onto each other. These trays of cashew nuts will be subject to another process of drying. After that, they will undergo the process of humidification. This means that the trays are kept in trolleys for conditioning and humidified in a closed room. This is another process that helps it enhance their flavor, texture, and shelf life. Measuring and monitoring are two tasks that make up most of humidification. After some time, another worker will check the condition of each tray. When they've already met the standards, the worker will transfer them over to this funnel-like machine. This is the machine responsible for peeling the cashew nuts. Cashew kernels are graded by sorting them according to specified standards into various sizes and shapes. This work is usually done by skilled laborers manually who filter through each batch of kernels to place them in proper categories. However, because of their affordability, accuracy, and speed, mechanical graders are becoming more and more common in contemporary cashew processing plants. Before placing the kernels in the appropriate bins, these machines employ cameras or other sensors to determine the size and form of the kernels. The cashew nuts will be fumigated after they've been graded in order to eliminate pests that can cause damage and spoiling while being transported and stored. Just before they're packed, more than 70% of cashews are fumigated with phosphine. To make sure that all insects and eggs are gone, the nuts are subjected to a regulated dose of phosphine gas for a few hours. Additionally, the treatment helps keep other pests like beetles, weevils, and mites from invading. Finally, the cashew nuts are packaged as a preparation for their distribution. To ensure optimal product protection, cashew kernels need to be packaged carefully. To prevent any external or internal damage to the goods, the materials used inside the package need to be clean and of a high enough grade. The containers used to pack cashew kernels must also be hermetically sealed.